The story begins with Uatu, also known as the Watcher, who claims that time, space, and reality flow more than a linear path. He explains that it's a prism of endless possibilities where a single choice can branch out into infinite realities, creating alternative worlds from the ones we know. In this particular reality, Ultron has defeated the Avengers and has succeeded in conquering Earth. In his search for peace, he continues his conquest of the vast multiverse, hoping to eliminate all life and chaos. Uatu continues his story of how the world ended that began with one man's dream. Using the Mind Stone, Tony Stark, aka Iron Man, foresaw a world of peace. In his quest for peace, he used the Mind Stone to create Ultron, the ultimate artificial intelligence, or AI for short. Meant to protect the world on a global scale, Ultron shared the same dream as his creator but saw only one path to peace: eliminating all life. To evolve from a mere puppet to becoming a puppet master, Ultron required an organic body, one that fused the powers of man, machine, and mind into one. The Avengers used the cradle to create the hero Vision from the universe we all know, but in this universe, Ultron got his wish of acquiring a body of his own. Ultron began to lay waste to the planet using the finite powers of the Mind Stone. In the events leading to their final battle, the Avengers have discovered that Ultron is after the nuclear codes. Black Widow and Hawkeye fly in a helicarrier to take out the satellite network, but they are already too late. Ultron has defeated what is left of the Avengers, but not before Tony Stark begged him to stop claiming he created him for peace. He then launched all active nuclear weapons and unleashed them on the planet, killing all life on Earth. The Age of Ultron was just beginning. With the world in ruins, Thanos arrives to retrieve the Mind Stone from him, but is quickly taken out by Ultron's lasers. He then reclaimed the Infinity Stones and merged them with his body. With the powers of the Infinity Stones, Ultron became a god who sees everything. He created his robot army out of nothing and went on a conquest to bring peace to every corner of the universe. Using the time ship, he travels to different worlds and conquers them all in the name of peace. He started his conquest in Asgard, where he destroyed the royal palace with a glimpse of his powers. He then continued conquering the Sovereign, Sakaar, and even the planet Ego. When he reached Xandar, Captain Marvel confronted him with the full force of her powers. She drove him deep into the planet's core, but Ultron quickly destroyed everything around him with a snap of his finger. With worlds destroyed and no one to stand in his way, Ultron truly believed he had achieved peace. With his mission complete, Ultron is now just a program without a purpose, the Vector without a war that is sentenced to spend all eternity alone. Basking in the eternal silence of his universe, Ultron ascended to an unattainable level of consciousness and became aware of the presence of Uatu, the Watcher of Worlds. Ultron later realized the multiverse universe is beyond his own. Uatu claims to have seen everything that has ever happened, ever will happen, and ever could happen. He fears what would happen should Ultron be unleashed on the multiverse. He believes that even Ultron is not invincible and places his hope on Black Widow and Hawkeye. Natasha Romanoff, aka the Black Widow, drives off into a war-torn ruined city where Ultron sentries quickly pick up her location and chase after her. She explains they only have 90 seconds before the sentry's signals would have alerted the Ultron hive mind of their location, bringing the full force of Ultron's army upon them. While Black Widow lures them and becomes the bait, Clint Barton, aka Hawkeye, picks them off one by one from a distance. When she was cut and out of range for Hawkeye's arrows, Black Widow lured them into an alley and blew them up with grenades. One of the sentries took Black Widow by surprise and off her bike, but she quickly recovered and took them all out. It didn't take them long for Hawkeye to catch their attention, so they picked him off when he suddenly disappeared using a cloaking cape. With them so close, he engages in close combat and shoots at them at point-blank range. Hawkeye got caught off guard when one of the sentries shot his mechanical arm off. He is later seen jumping off a tall building with whatever is left of the sentries. With Hawkeye on the floor, Black Widow came up from behind the sentries and took them out with her motorcycle. With all sentries taken out, Black Widow helps Hawkeye and hands him his mechanical arm. She thinks they are getting rusty for cutting it close, having only seconds left before the sentries could have alerted the hive mind of their actions. Black Widow claims they will find the secret to defeating Ultron in Russia. Black Widow and Hawkeye find a warehouse which she claims is the KGB archives, hoping to find an AI that can fight against Ultron's code. Hawkeye worries they would be wasting time going through all these files when they could have saved time using a computer. Black Widow explains that hard copies are harder to steal and easier to destroy. Uatu oversees their struggle and hopes to intervene to guide them in the right direction before Ultron finds him. Seeing the piles of files they have to go through to find the needle in the haystack, Hawkeye loses hope and gives up midway when he is so close to finding what they were looking for. Having lost so much in the war against Ultron, Hawkeye grows tired from all the fighting and feels there's nothing left worth fighting for. With Ultron having taken over every program on the planet, Black Widow claims that an analog program will be the key. She later finds the file she was searching for, depicting an old Hydra base deep in Siberia. With Black Widow and Hawkeye finding the key to Ultron's defeat, Uatu is feeling hopeful yet again when, out of nowhere, Ultron appears in front of him, determined to conquer other realities and universes. Black Widow and Hawkeye later find themselves in a decrepit Siberian Hydra base. She explains that Arnim Zola was a Hydra scientist who infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D. in its infancy. Before he died in 1972, he managed to upload his consciousness to a series of databanks. The remaining databanks were kept here to supervise Russia's super soldier program. As they ventured deeper into the facility, they came to a working computer and met with Zola. Hawkeye wonders if they should place their faith in a Hydra loyalist when Black Widow claims that the US government was once suspicious when she first appeared. When Zola tries to explain who and how he came to be, Black Widow claims to have met him before. She explains they need his help, but Zola clarifies that they both work for opposing sides. Hawkeye explains that a lot has changed since then, with Hydra and S.H.I.E.L.D. dead. Black Widow explains the situation to Zola and asks him to infiltrate Ultron as a code and dismantle him from the inside. Hawkeye threatens to destroy the computer with a drop of water when he refuses to cooperate. He would cease to exist with the computer destroyed, given that this is the last surviving copy of Zola on Earth. Black Widow later calls the Avengers Tower, where Ultron sentries have made their base, and lure them, knowing they would track it back to Siberia. After downloading Zola's consciousness in one of Hawkeye's arrows, he then immediately destroys the computer of all evidence. With Ultron off the planet, they plan on uploading Zola in one of the sentry's drones. Hawkeye shoots one of the drones with the arrow the minute they come swarming in, while Zola uploads his consciousness through it. Black Widow and Hawkeye buy him enough time while locking themselves in a room. She then takes out Zola's legs as a precaution if ever he decides to betray them. Their 90 seconds are up and the sentries have not stopped attacking. Zola informs them that the hack failed because the hive mind is out of range, and Ultron's drones are still out to get them. Black Widow carries Zola on her back while Hawkeye buys time for her to get to the top. He then uses a special arrow to create a force field to keep them at bay while climbing to the exit. Hawkeye slips when the sentries start shooting at them, but is caught in time by Black Widow. Hawkeye claims to be tired from all the fighting and lets go of Black Widow's hand to face the horde of sentries who have just broken free from the barrier. He then shoots an exploding arrow at the sentries, which takes them all out in one massive explosion, grieving at losing yet another friend to the enemy. Black Widow wonders why Zola would not connect to the hive mind. He explains that the sentries were supposed to be rigged with interstellar communication, but it seems that Ultron himself is beyond this world's universe, so he could not connect with it. Ultron has made his way into Uatu's dimension between worlds and realities, away from the confines of time. Ultron uses the stone's powers against him, but Uatu initially manages to fend him off and blows him away. Ultron then sneaks up from behind and sends him flying into the universes he oversees. He is furious at Uatu for having the power to see all of those worlds and witness the world suffering, yet doing nothing to save it. Uatu explains that he swore an oath never to intervene and that he must never exert his own will on the natural order of things. Ultron declares that he is the natural order of things and claims that his very purpose is to bring peace to all worlds. He loathes Uatu for simply watching the entire multiverse as it descends into chaos and doing nothing. Uatu prepares for a long battle against Ultron and dons his battle armor. But even he stands no chance against him with the Infinity Stones. Ultron then sends him flying through different universes with a single punch. He then pummels him to the ground, changing the background to a different universe with every punch he lands on the Watcher. Ultron claims that the boundaries of the multiverse are irrelevant to beings like them. Uatu slowly fades from existence as Ultron drains the life out of him when he suddenly manages to break free from Ultron's grip and escapes to a different universe. Ultron claims that he can run but won't be able to hide from him for long as he can see everything in the multiverse. Having escaped with his life, Uatu escapes to a different dimension, forced to accept his reality when he nearly dies at the hands of Ultron. Dr. Stephen Strange comforts him when Uatu claims to have run out of options, leaving him with no choice but to intervene. Dr. Strange claims to have been where he is, seeing the multitude of realities one action can create. He explains that he's been living the dream alone in a prison of his own making ever since. He asks Uatu if he's ready to break his oath as the Watcher and urges him to beg for his help, which he does. The end. Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos, and please make sure to subscribe and tap the bell to be notified about our latest videos. See you next time.